Hello everyone. In this video we're going to take a look of our review HTTP API and REST API. So what are the differences between the two? So let's open up, where are we? Almost heaven. Was Virginia, oh, the mountain, the water, this, sea, country road, take me home to place API gateway. Alright, so let's add API gateway here. API gateway. Where I belong, West Virginia. Country mama, take me home. Alright, API for API gateway. Alright, so we're going to differentiate between HTTP API versus REST API. Alright, so let's get into it. HTTPI versus REST API. So we're gonna need the help of ChatGPT to somehow summarize what we need to summarize. Okay, so HTTP versus HTTP API versus REST API. Explain, differentiate. Help me differentiate between and API gateway. Country road. Okay, sure. Let's differentiate between HTTP API and REST API and AWS API gateway. So HTTP API, newer. So this is newer. HTTP APIs are the newer version of APIs offered by AWS API Gateway. Simplified, they are designed to be simpler and more cost-effective for building APIs. Features: HTTP APIs support features like JWT authorizers. Okay, so it can support JWT authorizers. Alright, so this is we need to take note of this. JWT authorizers, route optimization, and direct Lambda integration. Usage: ideal for simple use cases or scenarios where you need to quickly build and deploy APIs without complex configurations. WebSocket support: HTTP API support WebSocket APIs out of the box. Okay, so REST API. So traditional REST APIs have been around longer and follow the principles of representational REST transfer. Okay, or REST. Okay, so rich features. They offer a broader set of features and configurations compared to HTTP APIs, including custom request response, mapping, caching, throttling, and more. Usage: best suited for complex API scenarios where you need fine-grained control over request response handling and behavior. Integration: REST API support integration with various AWS services like AWS Lambda, AWS Step Functions, and AWS Cognito, among others. Mapping templates: REST APIs use mapping templates for transforming incoming requests and outgoing responses. Okay, so let's see the difference. So first, this is the newer one. This is much simpler and much cost effective, and this one is the complete one. and that traditional one. Okay, so let's build first our HTTP API. See what are the differences. So this one here is Vlad HTTP API gateway. Create, review and create. Right, so let's create. West Virginia. Alright, so it might have been created already. So it got here stages, route, authorization, integration, re-import, export. Okay, so let's routes for Vlad HTTP API gateway. So let's create any. So let's say post Vlad. Okay, so post Vlad post. Okay, so it doesn't have that mapping here, or like the for where you can do mapping and then going to the target like Lambda or maybe EC2 instances, and then it doesn't have the going route. Okay, so next is we're going to create, go back to API gateways, create an API. This time we're going to create a REST API. So this is going to be a new one. So this one here will be REST API. Vlad REST API. API gateway. So this is regional or edge optimize and private. So we're just going to create the regional one. We're going to create a new one. Okay, so let's create a resource. Resource is Vlad. Let's enable course. Create the resource. And alright, so let's deploy. What's this? Create a resource. What is here? The options. Yeah, so here you got method request, integration request, and integration response and method response. So this is what I mentioned about for like middleware thing. Okay, so next is yeah, we're going to create a method. Okay, so here we can select the if it's a lambda or HTTP, or we're going to mug, or we're going straight to an AWS service. So for now we're going to select HTTP, and the method will be post, and the method here will also be post, and your endpoint URL pass through. Create the method. What's this? Okay, so HTTP HTTPS. What? Why is it? It's required. Why is this? Okay, so let's just select the lambda. Okay, so here this is the maybe the because this is the target endpoint that we're going to hit. So we're gonna select, if we're gonna select the lambda function, it doesn't have that option. So request body. Okay, so create the method. So we're gonna select the lambda function. Okay, so yeah, that's it. The authorizers, integration, stages. Here, do we have stages here? We haven't created any yet. So yeah, we have to. How about mock? Let's just create a mock first. Okay, so mock integration and stages. Here, about here, stages. So this is what the stages look like if it's a REST. So REST is the older one and HTTP is the newer one. HTTP new, REST is the traditional one. Okay, I think that's it. Okay, so we know a bit what's the difference between HTTP API and REST API and API gateways. Alright, so I'm so sleepy. Alright, thanks, bye bye.